Welcome to the Brent Daniels Real Estate Live Show. Let me start with this. I've got an echo, Matt. This is crazy. I don't know what's happening, but I don't know if they hear it or if it's just me, but it's driving me crazy. Good. Nope. There we go. In recent years, the landscape of real estate wholesaling has undergone a seismic transformation. Governments at both state and local levels are deploying a barrage of new regulations designed to restrict and control wholesaling practices. This relentless wave of legislation feels like an effort to ensure fair play and more like less like an effort to ensure fair play and more like a strategic assault aimed at diminishing the very essence of wholesaling. As these laws proliferate, wholesalers find themselves navigating an increasingly complex maze of compliance requirements, licensing mandates, and disclosure obligations. The consequences of failing to adapt are severe: hefty fines, legal battles, and irreparable damage to your reputation. Imagine the uncertainty and stress of not knowing whether your next deal will be compliant or fall victim to new restrictions. The pressure is mounting and the stakes have never been higher. In this turbulent environment, staying informed and proactive is not just beneficial, it's essential. Understanding the intricacies of each new regulation can mean the difference between thriving and struggling in an industry that once promised unlimited potential. The war in wholesaling is intensifying, and only those who are well prepared and strategic will survive and prosper. Here are some of the new regulations that have come out over the last few years. One was even named the anti-wholesaling law. Woo! Guys, this is a report done by David Olds. David Olds and Heather Anderson, they did a phenomenal job compiling all of the different regulations that have been enacted for assigning purchase agreements, or what is commonly referred to as wholesaling real estate. And on the surface, you see, okay, there are 20 states that have regulations. Most of those require a real estate license. Some of them, there's some nuance. So we're going to go through every single one of them so that you can be compliant. Now, in the 30 other states, there are not any of these regulations, or they would be on this list. I will give you this report. It should be in the chat. Sometime Matt will put it into the chat so that you guys can download it yourself, print it out so that you can stay compliant. These are the rules. The beautiful thing about this is I think it is a huge potential to work in these markets, work really effectively, and you're going to have a wide open lane to really build a successful, profitable, predictable business if you play by the rules here. Okay, so let's break down these 20 states. At the top of the hour, bringing in Jerry Norton. Jerry Norton does an incredible job of breaking down all these regulations on his YouTube channel. He keeps us up to date on all of these. He's kind of looking at what's coming down the pipeline for any other states that might be enacting. But I feel like this is the bulk of it. I feel like a lot of these regulations were initiated from 2019 to 2023, and it's in the industry it feels like a slowdown for the other states. Now, there's big states: Florida, Texas, California, no regulations, right? Yet at that point. But here are the states that do require some either disclosure, an actual wholesaling license, and or a real estate license. Or we start off with the king of anti-wholesaling, and that is South Carolina. Boom, South Carolina, you can't wholesale. Here's the facts. You have to lock up a deal, close on a deal before you can market the property. Doesn't matter if you have a real estate license, you have to close on those deals. By the way, guys, I'm going to show you, after we go through all 20 effective strategies so that you can dominate in these markets. I've got 2 students in these markets that absolutely tripled their business as soon as these regulations came out last year. and have done phenomenal work in making sure that as everybody else was running away, they were running towards. And that's a huge lesson in business. When everybody's running towards the same thing, running the other way usually is the smarter idea. But here in South Carolina, this law prohibits individuals from marketing equitable interest in real estate contracts without holding a real estate license. The legislation defines wholesaling as purchasing a property with the intent to resell it before taking ownership, and even sets out a thorough list of things that qualify what a wholesale deal is. Licensed agents are also restricted from engaging in or assisting with wholesale activities. The goal is to protect consumers from misrepresentation and ensure industry transparency. So you can wholesale if you have a license, but if you have a license, you can't wholesale. Pretty interesting, right? I would not be surprised. This is my opinion. This is not, I haven't talked to any attorneys about this. I haven't talked to anybody in South Carolina about it. But I have a feeling that this is going to be overturned in a few years. We'll see what happens there. But essentially, you got to close on it, then resell it. Close on it and resell it. It's a traditional flip. Let's go to state number 2. The first domino to fall was Illinois. Illinois, back in 2019, required a real estate license. And holy cow, did the industry just go, oh my God, how dare they? How dare they require us to do stuff? How dare they require us to go through 90 hours of school and take 2 tests to get a real estate license? How dare they? Well, they did. And people have benefited hugely. Now, there are people that live in Illinois that don't have a license, and they either partner with people that do have a license, or they do it in the surrounding areas that don't require a license. That's typically what happens. Most of the smarter wholesalers in these markets decided they would just get a license. Get a license and do it, all right? And so the law, this is the Real Estate License Act of 2019. This law limits unlicensed wholesaling to 1 transaction per year. You can do 1 transaction per year, all right? Beyond that, individuals must acquire a broker's license. It also requires wholesalers to disclose their profits to the seller and use state-approved contracts. The law aims to align wholesaling activities with the ethical standards of traditional real estate transactions. Now, I will mention this because I think that this is really important. If you can zoom in on me, this is really interesting. Something that is that screwing up the screen? All right, good. Zoom back out. I am seeing a lot more title companies, and let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this later. Are you seeing a lot more title companies putting in their own overlay saying, hey, here's how much this wholesaler's making, and having the seller sign off on it? Really interesting, really overreach, in my opinion, of the title company's job. But some title companies are doing that. I assume that it is just an extra disclosure that they want to have in there. I think that most times it's fine, but I feel like that's completely unnecessary. That's my opinion on it. And I would change the title companies that you're working with if they're doing that, unless you're in Illinois and it's required. If it's required by state law, then I would say, yeah, go for it. No problem. But the buyer is paying us. The buyer is paying us the assignment fee. The seller is not paying us the assignment fee. Why is it the seller's business to know what our assignment fee is that the buyer's paying us? Not saying it will really screw up that many deals. I just feel like, if it's not required to disclose, why are you making me do it? You're kind of strong-arming me, title company. And in most cases, I have found that it's the title companies that are phasing out doing these type of deals. Number 3, Nebraska. Nebraska, right here. The law requires wholesalers to hold a real estate license to publicly market equitable interest in contracts. It also establishes clear agency roles, procedural requirements, and disclosure obligations to ensure wholesalers operate transparency. You have to get a license. Got to get a license in Nebraska. So Nebraska, just like Illinois, is requiring a license to be able to do that. And under the new law, an agent assisting a wholesaler would be a seller's agent for the wholesale. Along with this, closing on the property and then listing it would be an easy solution. Number 4, guys, Oklahoma here. They enacted, and this is literally what it's called in 2021, Predatory Real Estate Wholesaler Prohibition Act. Does this sound like an old-timey, like 1920s? No more booze for you, right? Prohibition. Okay, there you go. The law prohibits the public marketing of contracts without a license. Specifies that wholesalers who publicly market an equitable interest in a property before closing are performing real estate brokerage activities and must be licensed. However, wholesalers can resell properties after closing without restrictions. That's Oklahoma, guys. All right, number 5, the beautiful Grand Canyon State, my state, Arizona. You have to disclose. All right, you have to disclose. Arizona mandates, this is HB 2747 for all my Phoenicians here, or my Tucsonians, or my Flagstaffians, or my Presbyterians, or my Sidonians. Arizona mandates that wholesalers disclose in writing their status as a wholesaler before entering a binding agreement with a seller. Sellers have the right to cancel contracts without penalty and keep any earnest money if disclosure is not made. This is beautiful. We've always disclosed. It's always been under purchase agreement. This has been the advice that I got from real estate attorneys back in 2015 when I had one put together. So that's been 10 years now of that. We've always disclosed our right to that an option for us is to assign the purchase agreement. And yeah, we do that before we even sign it. We go through that. Guys, it's really, really, really important that you go through the purchase agreement with a property owner. Not just because of disclosure, but also because it sets the tone for what to expect in the transaction. If you're just doing this, hey, email this agreement over. Yeah. Just go, yeah, just go back. Are you on your phone? Okay, great. Put me on speakerphone. Okay, great. Now, if you just scroll down to the bottom and click that DocuSign signature and just, put your finger on, wiggle your finger and sign that, that'd be great. Guys, 80% of those deals cancel. 80% of those deals don't go through. 80% of those deals, people are putting memorandums on those properties and it turns into a nightmare. That's why people want regulation, because there's bad actors. Make sure people understand the language that they are agreeing to. This is fundamental. This is a purchase agreement. This is a binding agreement. They need to know what they're agreeing to so that they know what the expectations are. If they don't know what the expectations are, they're going to want to ghost you. They're going to want to cancel on you. They're going to want to renegotiate. They're going to take other offers. They're going to not think that they've actually sold the property. They don't even know. Most people have never sold a property or haven't sold, dozens of properties, so they're not really familiar with the process. It's not like buying and selling a car and getting car title and that type of thing. People do that every few years. Properties, it's every 7 years, if that. And some of these properties have never changed hands in 20, 30 years. So make sure you're doing the right thing and go through the purchase agreement. Next, Kentucky. The law redefines real estate brokers to include advertising equitable interest in contracts. Only licensed brokers can market such contracts. The legislation seeks to eliminate deceptive advertising and protect consumers from fraudulent practices. Right here, Kentucky. You have to have a license. You have to have a license. Do you know what really, I think, really exploded this whole thing? Is not the wholesalers that went direct to the property owner and then went direct to their own list. It is the people that took from that list without permission, put it out into the world, put it in on Investor Lift without permission, put it in on others, put it on Craigslist, put it on Facebook Marketplace, just was trying to do the daisy chain. Okay, trying to be the disposition agent without any permission, without telling anybody about it. And then they're sending people to these houses. They're putting it all over the internet. And it was never agreed to between the person that actually locked up that agreement and the person that that is selling that deal, the actual buyer on that agreement, the wholesaler that went direct to the property owner. That's the issue here. That's the big issue. Now, if you have a real estate license, you're able to do that, but you need to get permission to be able to do that. Guys, don't just take other people's deals and put it out in the market and try to sell it to somebody else. Get permission before you do that, okay? It's absolutely critical. And I am telling you, there are people, I have them come into my office on Mondays on Wholesale Hotline. And not the people doing this, but the people showing me. They're literally scraping with AI, Investor Lift, taking that, putting it out to everybody that they possibly can, having them listed on Marketplace, having them listed on Craigslist, having them listed in all of these crazy places. And it's an issue for these property owners. Don't do that. Number 7, this is a big one, in my opinion. There's 2 big ones on here that I really think are interesting because I know a lot of very successful wholesalers in these markets. Virginia is one of them. Next is Virginia. Individuals or entities. By the way, guys, give it up for Matt. Matt built this map yesterday. This is handmade. Matt, well done, buddy. He did all this, all right? Oh, Tom showed up. Oh, Tom's here. All right. Well, there you go. All right, perfect. Well, guys, we're going to have Tom Croll in 15 minutes once we go through this. And by the way, Tom, this is partly your fault. This is partly your fault. I'm going to blame you, and I'm going to blame Max Maxwell, bro. I'm blaming you and Max Maxwell for all this shenanigans, okay? I'm going to get to you in just a second, but I'm so happy to see you, brother. Love you. Virginia, individuals, if you have 2 or more assignable contracts, you need to get a license. You can do 2 deals in Virginia, and then you got to get a license. Guys, get a license. This is like 101. I remember reading Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2000. I went to college. I was like, you know what? I got to get a real estate license so that I understand what's going on here. I did it while I was in college, part-time as a knucklehead, total knucklehead. Memorized things, did flashcards for, I don't know, a week. Went in, passed the test, never have to do it again. Now you have to take continuing education every 2 years because let's be honest, having a real estate license is a subscription that they like getting paid for, right? But it's listen, you can do this. If you want to be a unbelievable entrepreneur, a real estate license should not be the thing that stops you. Number 8, Oregon. We're going way over to the West Coast here. And Oregon has created a registration system for residential property wholesalers. Wholesalers must register before conducting business, ensuring transparency and oversight. The law aims to curb unethical practices and fraudulent transactions. Really interesting. Really interesting that you have to register here. And Oregon's not playing around. Violations may face imprisonment up to 364 days, a fine of $6,250 or both. Okay? Wholesalers must meet the state's registration requirements, which may involve additional costs and compliance measures. The law defines residential property wholesaling as marketing residential property, while the marketer only has an equitable interest or an option to purchase, has held that interest for fewer than 90 days, and has invested less than $10,000 in development or improvement costs associated with residential property. You got to disclose it. And by the way, has invested less than $10,000. Even if you're closing on a property and selling it, if you didn't put less than $10,000, I would talk to an attorney in Oregon and see if you have to register, even if you are flipping the properties. Okay, that's Oregon. Number 9, Iowa. There's a joke about Iowa. I won't tell it because it might offend any Iowans. Let me know in the chat if you want to know the joke about Iowa, and I'll tell you the joke about Iowa. But the law defines wholesaling and requires brokers to disclose the process and legal identities of all parties in a wholesale transaction. It also mandates written explanations of wholesaling activities to ensure all parties understand the terms. All right? This is, you got to disclose. So this requires disclose. Now, it does say that it requires brokers, but in here it doesn't say that you have to have license. So if there's a little bit, I wasn't sure there. So if you're in Iowa, let me know. But basically you just say, hey, listen, you have to disclose what wholesaling is, what the process is. And I think that that's smart. We have it in our purchase agreement, guys. It's in the purchase agreement. We have the right to market it. We have the right to put it on the MLS. We have all of these things, the right to put a memorandum on the contract. All of these things are in the purchase agreement. Get a great purchase agreement. Join us in the Rhino Tribe, wholesalinginc.com. We'll make sure that you are so compliant, it is bananas. All right, next, Indiana requires wholesalers to provide clear disclosures in all solicitations. The law categorizes failure to disclose as deceptive, allowing enforcement by the Attorney General. Wholesalers must register with the Department of Revenue as a retail merchant and must pay sales tax. So they're getting you in a different way there, right? Getting you in a smart way for the state, in my opinion, right? So if you're in Indianapolis, you don't need a license yet, but you do have to disclose and you do have to register. Okay. Number 11, we're cruising. Michigan requires real estate brokers or salesperson license for wholesaling activities. You cannot sell more than 5 properties a year. 5 properties a year unlicensed. Complicates operations for unlicensed wholesaler, increasing compliance costs. You can market a contract for sale, but you must be careful not to cross the line into acting as a real estate agent or broker. If you're in Michigan, guys, I would get a license if you're doing a good amount of business. Okay? Make sure that you're watching that. North Dakota. Is anybody here from North Dakota? Do we even have to do North Dakota? Does anybody live in North Dakota? What's the population in North Dakota? 3 people? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm just kidding. Actually, North Dakota in the summer is absolutely gorgeous, and it is home to one of my favorite people. Not home. It is where one of my favorite people had migrated into my beautiful state of Arizona, and that is Chad Coulter, my junior acquisition manager. Millions and millions and millions of dollars that he's done in wholesaling. He's absolutely incredible. So I love North Dakota for that. You need a license. Boom, you need a license. Next, Arkansas. Arkansas, you need a license. There you go. You need a license. Forces wholesalers to obtain license or cease operations, increasing barriers to entry. It would seem to be very important to not be marketing a property, but to offer to sell the rights to your contract. Very interesting. Very much like Utah, which is not on this list. But Utah does not like if you are selling an actual property without a license. You have to sell the rights to your contract. Arkansas, number 14, Philly. Philly's always been interesting. Philly, go Birds. Yeah, that's right. There you go. There is a residential property wholesaler license. Residential property wholesaler license. Wholesalers must register and provide specific disclosures to sellers about their role and intent. A wholesaler will have to obtain a specific commercial activity license. There you go. Which is interesting because we'll get to Pennsylvania as a whole in a second. Atlanta. This one's interesting. If you're in Atlanta, I know a lot of really great wholesalers in Atlanta, but Atlanta prohibits repeated contact with homeowners after they decline an offer. The law targets predatory investor practices that pressures sellers into unfavorable deals. Guys, if you're in Atlanta and they tell you that they don't want an offer on their property or they don't like your offer, don't go and just keep badgering them. I mean, I feel like this is just good business practice throughout the entire country, but make sure that you are paying attention to that. Wholesalers must respect sellers' decisions and avoid aggressive marketing tactics. 16, Alabama. Alabama, this is regulations under the Alabama Real Estate Commission. Alabama requires wholesalers to follow specific disclosure and licensing regulations to ensure transparency in real estate transactions. What does that mean? Wholesalers must disclose their intent to market the property, sellers and buyers, and must disclose their limited interest to potential purchasers and assignees. While a real estate license is not mandatory, wholesalers must comply with Alabama Real Estate Commission regulations. There you have it. No license, but you do have to disclose. Sounds like it's very much like what we do here in my home state of Arizona. 17, Wisconsin. Wisconsin requires wholesalers to disclose their status as a wholesaler to sellers before entering into a purchase agreement. Sellers have the right to rescind the agreement if the disclosure is not provided. Wisconsin. There you go. much like Alabama, much like Arizona. Guys, disclose anyway. I have never had somebody cancel a deal because of that. Now, I've had a seller go, I just signed an agreement with a wholesaler and they didn't do anything, and I want to make sure that you close on the deal. Great, we close on the deal. We've had that. We've definitely had that. But that comes out during the disclosure process. It just closes the amount of different exit strategies we have. Guys, 5 minutes to the incredible Tom Croll. All right. Connecticut allows wholesaling, but imposes strict disclosure and licensing requirements to ensure fair practices and protects all parties involved. Wholesalers must disclose their role in writing to the seller starting January 1st, 2025, and all parties must be informed of the wholesaler's intent to assign the agreement for profit. Wholesalers must have a real estate license to market and sell their properties. There you go. Connecticut, another licensing state. Mississippi ain't messing around. All right? Mississippi. I went to Biloxi. Is that anybody in Mississippi? You ever been to Biloxi? It's kind of wild. It's right there in the ocean. I had no idea that Mississippi is on the ocean, but I live in Arizona. We don't have any of that. So Mississippi requires wholesalers to meet licensing, educational, and record-keeping standards, ensuring transparency and accountability in transactions. Wholesalers must obtain a real estate license, complete 60 hours of MREC-approved courses, and pass the state exam. They must maintain proper records and invoices for wholesaler sales and file proof of wholesaler sales for 3 years. There you go. And the last one, the other biggie, can't you see? Pennsylvania has enacted new laws requiring wholesalers to register with the Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission, obtain licensing, and follow stringent disclosure requirements. This law aims to increase transparency and oversight in wholesaling transactions. Wholesalers must register with the state and disclose their intent to assign the contracts. Wholesalers must obtain license similar to that required for real estate agents, and written disclosure to sellers and full transparency about assignment fees are mandatory. There you go, guys. Now, I like this. From challenges to opportunities. This is all David Olds and Heather Anderson, easyreiclosings.com. The link is here for this entire thing. Make sure that you guys have this. It's really important. I love this. And this might sound counterintuitive to the run and gun, go out there, be an entrepreneur, small government, no oversight, go bananas. But in my opinion, the more that there is somebody looking out for the property owners and the process, the better we have to get at what we do. And the better that we get at what we do, the longer that we can do it. It's an absolute fact. And guys, as Tom Croll will tell you, success is a good night's sleep. All right? Success is a good night's sleep. So if there's somebody making sure that there are ethics in here, if there's somebody making sure that we're disclosing, if there's somebody making sure that everything that we are doing is not some big mystery to the sellers that we're working with, that's good. It's good. It's good in the long run. It's good in the short term. It's good all the time. So I don't mind any of this. I love all of this. And if you're in any of these blue parts, especially the ones that require a license, get a license. Nobody's going to do it. All the people doing virtual, they're not going to do it. All the people doing it from overseas, they're not going to do it. So now you've got, first of all, if you look at 2021, the amount of wholesalers, 90,000 to 100,000. That's a real report that Batch did. Now, 20 to 25,000. You take the regulations here in these, it's even smaller and smaller and smaller. These are blue for a reason, because it's a blue ocean. It's a blue ocean. It's wonderful. These are really great opportunities, guys, to do something amazing in those. And so, yes, the new wave of laws target wholesalers is undeniably a burden. These regulations have already caused many to leave the industry, and they're forcing others to rethink how they operate. But here's the truth. Challenges like these often create the biggest opportunities for those willing to adapt. Foot stomp, baby. I love you. There you go. There are the 20 states that are requiring that have regulations. And so now it is my pleasure to bring on the guy that caused all of this and decided that he was going to call a podcast Wholesaling Inc. and decided to be the #1 podcast year after year after year and bring on incredible talent to be on that podcast. Tom Croll, how are you, brother?
Bam! Man.
Hold on, Tom. What's going on with the audio today? Give me a second here, Tom.
Take your time.
Thank you so much for participating. We have over 100 people on here, Tom. I hope that this all made sense to you guys. I hope that you guys see the true potential in what's going on. Tom, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, brother.
Bam!
Thanks for being on here.
I'll tell you, this is the greatest opportunity of a lifetime for the right people.
That's right.
This is what Angela Duckworth teaches us in the book Grit. And if you haven't read that book, go get your copy today. Reading is everything. Guys, this is Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way. Right? This is exactly what all the great men and women of consequence who came before us, this is what they're pointing to. Where this is a burden for so many, this is a blessing for the right people who understand what the word opportunity actually means. When it gets tougher and it gets regulated, that's when you become a master craftsman. That's when you double down and you really understand what you're doing. And there you go, right there. One of the greatest books ever written. I don't care what your SAT scores are. Mine didn't even break 1,000, and that was untimed. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will Rachel Ray anybody any day of the week, and I'll show up early, and I won't go to culinary school, and I'll stay late, and I'll still buy my vacation home in Tuscany, Italy. Right? So I'm going to tell you guys, this is a blessing, not a burden. When the tree is getting shaken like that, and you're holding on, and you become a master craftsman, that's when you have success, a good night's sleep. That's when you're going to have wealth, more and better options than other people. So shake that tree and let it get shaken, and you hold on and you just double down and you do it or you die trying. And that is the key. And that's really the secret, right? It's not willing things to happen. You want to know the real secret is massive imperfect action and progress, not perfection, and really becoming a master craftsman. Getting results is how you get an education and learning your craft. I think it's beautiful.
Tom, look at the big states. Look at your home state, Florida, no regulations. Look at Texas, no regulations. Look at California, no regulations. Look at Washington, no regulations. Look at North Carolina. Like, there are 30 states that don't. There are 20 states that do. I think that over time, eventually they will. Maybe not. Right. Maybe they got bigger things to deal with right now with everything that's going on in the news cycle and everything that's going on in the world. The attention seems to have shifted. But from the time that you start, when did you start Wholesaling Inc. podcast? 15?
Yeah, something like that. I'd have to look, but it was
10 years ago.
It was a decade over. It was over a decade ago for sure. Yeah.
And 10 years ago, when you talked about wholesaling real estate, how much education did you have to do on explaining what those terms meant?
Nobody knew what that. I think Michael Quarles one day called me up out in California and said, I'm the one who came up with that name, Wholesaling Inc. or Wholesaling. And I came up with the Inc. part from Joel Pulizzi's book, Content Inc. But nobody at that time, it was hot seat wholesaling, and you could go into a RIA meeting and people didn't know what the word wholesaling meant. As a matter of fact, my very first meeting that I went to, the head of the RIA meeting said, wholesaling? No. That's like from 100 years ago. You want to get into short sales. That's where all the money was. Thank God I didn't listen. But, and just another point here too. When I say become a master craftsman, true entrepreneurship is this, it's team building. And if without a team, you are not an entrepreneur. You are a daydreamer at best, and you're going to have inconsistent results. When people like David Olds and Heather Anderson are saying, hey, A, B, C, D, all the best investors in the country are using David Olds and easy REI closings. I mean, this is all about having a vision and approaching it the right way with integrity and following the rules and waking up early and working late and turning this what so many people are going to perceive as a burden into a blessing. Do more deals, do bigger deals. I mean, this is like this. If you're new to wholesaling, this is the best thing that you could hope for, because all those people who have been doing it the old way, those people, a lot of them are not going to make it. And that if you're new and you're coming in, this is the greatest opportunity ever, because like you said, so many wholesalers are just going to say, oh, I'm going to get into something else or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's phenomenal. This is the time to strike right now.
What do you think about licensing, Tom? Do you think that it's the tests that scare people? Would it scare you? You didn't even get 1,000 on your SAT score. I mean, you might have to take this 4 or 5 times, Tom, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it did. I mean, so I went before I was a real estate investor. I owned a lawn care company, right? And hey, I love it, right? I loved it. It was great. It was hard work. As a matter of fact, I just went out into the garden. I just picked some of my own sugar cane, right? So if you're not, if by the way, guys, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't have your own garden, you're crazy. There's so many metaphors and analogies from gardening. I cannot even begin to tell you, but I had to, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to work in the HOAs. And in order to get the contracts for the homeowners associations, they really liked it if you were an arborist. I had Julie and I drive it around the whole state where they would give this test 3 times. I failed that test. Yeah. I had to keep taking it to become a certified arborist in the state of Florida, which I eventually did, which was awesome. But I think really the question is this about the license. First of all, it's interesting, right? Because agents make money when the seller sells for more. Investors make money when the seller sells for less. So it is a unique thing here, right? But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to this. How bad do you really want it? Because if my kids got bit by a poisonous snake and the antivenom was taking that test, I guarantee you I take that test and I pass it. I don't care if I had to drive all over the state and take it 10 times. I would do it. This is everything in life. There is no such thing as a lack of motivation. There's only the wanting of one thing more than another. If you're not getting the results you want, you don't want the results bad enough. Trust me. I am telling you, that is the answer. The answer is get real clear on what you want and why you want it. And let me also speak to a few people in your audience, Brent. Don't let anybody judge you on what your why is. You don't have to be like a priest or a prophet and be some kind of a weird, like, oh, I just want world peace and I want to build a children's hospital. Your motivation might be a Lambo. And if that's what's going to get you up at 4:30 in the morning and on the phone and having awkward conversations and knocking on doors and getting bit by dogs, like every wholesaler in the country has been bit by a dog, let it be the Lambo. Get a big Lamborghini, whatever it is, right above your monitor, and you let that be your drive. And if that's your drive, so be it. And then go out and crush it and get it. And you just got to really want it. It's all grit, perseverance, and stick-to-itiveness. That's who wins 100% of the time. This is not sports. This is not natural ability. We wouldn't know Michael Jordan if he was 5'3". We know him because he's a tall guy and then he has everything else. That's the great thing about entrepreneurship. You have it. It's in you. We all have it. You could go out and do a deal right now. That's the key.
The average length of ownership, by the way, for a Lamborghini is 18 months.
Oh, the Lambo's the worst. Number one side.
Well, I mean, because people get it, it's their goal, and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, I got it. So just Turo it. Yeah. Just go to Turo. You can get a Lamborghini today. It'll cost you $1,000. You can drive it around for the day, get it out of your system, take all the pictures you want, go on Instagram, and you get it out of your system. Boom. There you go.
5 things that take an entrepreneur out of the game: debt, divorce, health, legal, taxes. Lambo is going to check a lot of those boxes. So
say it again, Tom.
Debt, divorce, health, legal, taxes. Those are the 5 things that are going to take an entrepreneur. And guys, one of the things about entrepreneurs is this. We are we have a lot of common traits. There's a lot of commonalities among us. One of the big things about us is we have a very, very difficult time decompartmentalizing. So if you're getting a divorce, or if you owe $600,000 to the IRS, or if you have a bad partner, or whatever it is, we have a very difficult time not allowing that to spill over into everything categorically in our business and in our life. So you've got to keep those 5 things top of mind: debt, divorce, health, legal, taxes. Some of them are in our control. Some of them aren't. They're genetic. It is what it is if you on health. But yeah, you got to be super careful. A Lambo tends to put a few of those things at risk for whatever reason. But, hey, whatever. It doesn't matter. Don't let me or anyone else judge you on whatever your driver is.
Shifting gears just a little bit here, Tom, you talked about divorce. And I think that this is really interesting because there is it's an epidemic for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an absolute epidemic that, you're going one way, your spouse is going the other way, and then all of a sudden it's a mess. Or you become so obsessed in your addiction to success, to earning, to hitting the next goal, to doing these things, that the relationship deteriorates. Why does that happen? What do you think? I mean, just from a personal, you've known a lot of people, you've been around a lot of people. This happened to me in my 20s. I went through a divorce, and same thing. So, I mean, I know from personal experience, but you see really, really amazing people. You see Gary Vee, you see people, the people that have gone, you know what I mean? And then they just go a separate way, which is interesting and fine. And that's their lives. But it also takes everything that you just earned after taxes and splits it all up, let alone relationships and children and all the other things.
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, financially, if you get out at 75% reduced net worth, forget cash flow, that's garbage. Net worth, you're golden, right? Number one, let's focus on a few things. Trevor Mach 101, you do not get burnout from working hard. You get burnout from not making progress, from not progressing.
Yep.
It's the hamster wheel that causes burnout. It's the working hard, and not actually growing your net worth, not actually making an impact on your community, on your team, in your business, and not progressing forward. It's not how fast you're going. It's that you're going forward every day. So the first thing is avoid hamster wheel activities and get out of the cash grab mentality.
Yep.
The second thing is there's no such thing as time management. There is only priority management.
There you go.
One of the essential ingredients to everything. And you only have, if you're an entrepreneur, I don't care. I have ownership in many, many, many businesses. I know you do as well. I know our friends do. Here's my calendar right now. Let me see if I can show it. I can't show that day. There's some private clients on here, but here you go. I can't show it, but if you look at every single Thursday on my calendar, you're going to see at 5:00, it's either going to say A, E, I, O, or U. Those are my 5 kids: Logan, Lacey, Lily, Lucas, and Levi. Their second initial is one of the vowels, right? So Logan, Lucas, and 5:00, I'm either on a father-son adventure with one of my boys. I'm calling Logan, who's in medical school, so I'm making sure I touch base with him, or I'm on a daddy-daughter date, and the same exact thing with Julie. I have one calendar. You've got to be intentional about it. And guys, I don't care if you wholesale houses, if you make door hinges, or if you build rocking chairs. An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. Measure your net worth every month, or if you're below zero, every week with your spouse. Poor people save, rich people invest. Poor people, all they care about when they're making a purchase is their cash flow. Wealthy people, when they make a purchase, especially a liability, something like that, they consider their cash flow and their net worth. Money is the number one driver of divorce. Measure your net worth. If every single time, guys, listen to this. If every single time in your business that you earn money, if every single time your net worth does not go up, something is broken in your business.
Talk to him, Tom.
Every single time you make $100 today or $100,000 this month, your net worth has got to go up and you've got to do it with your spouse as one, with your partner, your fiance, your significant other. Measure it, and if it's below zero, who cares? Then measure it every Friday, 3:00. We're going to sit down. We're going to measure our net worth. Decisions are made that way together with your spouse. Don't do that on your own. and don't ignore your net worth and just focus on your cash flow. That's what poor people do, broken people, people who get a divorce. We can afford it because of our cash flow. No. Huge mistake.
Huge mistake.
Yeah.
Tom, you're the best. Thanks for jumping on here.
God bless, brother.
Guys, coachinginc.com. If you are a teacher of any sort and looking to get into coaching, your expertise, you need Tom Croll in your life, coachinginc.com. When's the podcast out, Tom? When's the book out, Tom? What are we doing?
Very soon. It's coming. We're right there. We're right there. Darren Bentley is the man, and we're launching it. You're going to be on. You're getting an invite today. But yeah, course creators, community leaders, coaches, consultants, mentors. Let's go. Bam.
Awesome. You're the best. Love you, Tom.
God bless, brother. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Guys, let's go to the whiteboard real quick, and let's look at some of the options here. Actually, you know what? I want to go here first. Here's where I want to go first. I want to go here. 18 ways to make money in real estate. Okay. When we're talking about getting a license to wholesale in some of these states, let's go back real quick. What states do you need them? Right here: Illinois, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Virginia, after you do 2 deals, Michigan, North Dakota, Arkansas, Connecticut, Mississippi, right there. Those are the states that require a real estate license to assign and market contracts, assign or market your interest in a property, your equitable interest. Next, states that require disclosure that you are going to be wholesaling: Arizona, Iowa, Indiana, Alabama, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. States that require you to register as a wholesaler: Oregon, Indiana, and also Philly's in there. And states you cannot wholesale in: South Carolina. Well, what do we do? What do we do? There's 18 ways. There's 18 things. If you have more here, I get it. If you have more, let me know. Let me know if you have something that's not on this list. But this is, look at all the opportunities. If we have quality conversations with property owners every single day, and they are a real lead, let me remove this so that I can get in here. If they're a real lead, what is a lead? Let's define this. A lead is somebody that has made the decision they're going to sell their property. That's what a lead is. Not somebody that we convince, not somebody that we put external pressure, somebody that has internal pressure. That means that they've made the decision themselves that they're going to sell their property. Great. Well, what do? Well, you got cash as is offers, wholesaling. You can fix and flip. You can put it into your rental portfolio. You can do Airbnbs. You could wrap it. You could do a BRRRR strategy, which essentially is just a rental. Sub-2, novation, seller finance, wholetailing, listing the property. You can do a lease option, lease purchase. You can put a note on it. You can have an option to buy it. You can house hack it where you live in it, and you buy a multifamily and you live in one, and you sell and you rent the other units out. You could do a group home, which is becoming more popular with the pad splits, or you can subtail. All those things, guys. There's all of these strategies that you can go for. So in every single market, there are people that want to sell their properties. Will you do me a favor? On my desk, there is literally like a glass ball. Like what is that? What do mystics call it? A crystal ball. Yeah, grab my crystal ball, because I'm gonna make a prediction. Yes, perfect. Look at this. I wish I had like a sash to put it in, but I don't. Here we go. Here's my magic crystal ball. Oh, what does the future hold? Oh, I see it. I see it, Luke. It says we can always find good deals. We can always buy properties. The government is not going to restrict how much we make on the profits from buying and selling real estate or finding really great deals. I'm looking at it. The future looks so clear and bright. It's fantastic. Look at it. We can always find great deals. You can always find great deals. What do you want to do as an exit strategy? What do you want to do? Right? Yes, Edwin, I am a magician, obviously. But look at this. When we're talking about, okay, well, I don't want to get a real estate license, but I do want to find great deals. And what's working in, let's say, states like South Carolina or other ones that require a license to be able. You buy the properties. So you lock up a property for $100,000. We'll make it simple. This is the price, okay? And then you're going to have closing costs, okay? Closing costs are going to vary, but let's say you're paying both sides of it. Let's say it's $5,000. All right, this is closing costs. And then you're into this thing for $105,000. And then you're going to just put it back on the market as is. You're going to just literally list it on the market. Well, what do you have to do? You have to get insurance. You have to turn on utilities typically. Right? You have to maybe do a clear out of the property. You have to take pictures of the property. You got to get an agent to list these. All right, this is normal stuff in real estate. This is not like some crazy system. I get it. Just having a document that's an assignment agreement is way easier than going through all these hoops. I know. I love it. I love wholesaling. I love assigning. But we'll close on any deal. We will close on any deal. And here's what I'll tell you. Well, Brent, I don't have the $105,000 to buy this property. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's called hard money lenders. Right now, most of them are at 90% loan to price. I'll just say loan to price. People go LTV, loan to value, which is fine because this is the value because we determine the value. But let's just make it easy. They'll give you 90% of that. That means that you have to find like $10,000. If you go to any meetup, you go into any Facebook group that is serious in your marketplace, and you say, I have a smoking deal, I want to JV with somebody that has the money to go buy these properties. I did this at 27 years old. I raised $1.5 million, not doing anything but being a real estate agent at the time. And we're bidding at the foreclosure auctions, which is way crazier. You have to buy those in 24 hours. You have to put 10,000 non-refundable earnest immediately after winning. And it was all because you could find great deals. If you find great deals, there will be money. There will always be money. You can borrow from friends, family, people that you know. I don't know anybody. Everybody I know is poor and they have no money. Okay, great. Bring a deal to somebody that has a great reputation in your area. How do you know who has a great reputation? Who's doing the most flips? Who's buying and selling the most properties? You can find that easily. You can find it on propwire.com, Jerry Norton's free service. You can go there. By the way, Jerry Norton's going to be here in 8 minutes, if he's not already popped on. 8 minutes, Jerry Norton will be here, the flipping genius. You can find all the people that have these properties, reach out to them and say, hey, can we split this? But Brent, they're going to want 50%. You get 0% if you can't close the deal. You get 0% over 50%. And you don't even know what you're doing yet. And you get a free education from somebody that's done probably 1,000 flips. We're like, I don't want to split the deal with them. That's nonsense. It's baby talk. That is silliness. Just go talk to these people, build a great relationship. You want millionaires to be on your personal board of directors. You're the 5 people you spend the most time with. Don't you want somebody that's a multimillionaire and has raised funds and knows the process and is going to like help you along and build a good relationship with you? Let me tell you a secret about people that are doing really well in real estate and has been well established, let's say 10 years plus in this business. Okay? They love when you make them money. They love when you bring them free deals. They will be friends with you. Now, are you going to be best friends right away, braiding each other's hair and just giggling and just talking about poetry? No. But it's going to take some time. It's going to take a few deals. It's going to take, building that, putting some actual like FaceTime in with them and using your personality and having enthusiasm and kindness, confidence, all those things. Right? Then you got all the money you want. So the fact remains throughout, I don't care where you're at in the world, where you're watching this, if you find great deals, you will make a fortune. Doesn't matter the regulations. Play by the rules, but the skill remains the same. How good are you at finding, negotiating, and working with property owners? That's it. That is the skill. 95% of that skill is done on the phone. 95% of that skill is built by conversation after conversation. All of the skill is built by conversations and offers. Conversations and offers. It's the foundation of all of this business. Nothing changes. So for all those people that are scared and run away, they want to find an easier way to do some things, go ahead. And by the way, all of those other things that are easier, one, get flooded, and two, usually stop because of one loophole gets closed. And then you got to change course. And then all of your life that you've been building up in making money some way stops. And all of those bills still keep coming. All those responsibilities still keep coming. So why don't you stay in the business that has been a business since 1776, since independence, baby, since they allowed personal ownership of property in this country. I don't know if it happened in 1776. I'm not a history scientist, okay? I'm just a guy that loves doing deals. And I love you doing deals. And so right now, we have the best opportunity to go absolutely bananas talking with property owners that own ugly properties or are in ugly situations. And beautiful thing is, again, 18 ways. There's 18 ways. 18 ways to make money in real estate. That's it. That's where you do it. You want to get the purchase agreement, wholesalinginc.com. Wholesalinginc.com. Apply for the mentorship. That's where you get it. If not, I don't know if we have it out anymore. We had it in like an academy, a free academy, and then somebody overseas hacked it a bazillion times. So yeah, that's in the great Brentini. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's awesome. Welcome everybody. This is awesome. Great to see everybody in the comments section. I hope we're having fun. This business is fun. This business is exciting. This business is something that we can do for the rest of our lives. And the beautiful thing is, if you own assets, if you start building a portfolio, if you start cherry picking certain opportunities, then you actually build real wealth. You build real wealth. And I understand that like leverage is important. I like the strategy. Here's the strategy that I have. Let's go back one more time to the whiteboard and I'll just get kind of crazy. One, you can, anytime you make a good chunk of money, you can go to a hard money lender and they will take your money and they'll give you 10%. They'll give you 10% on your money. And there is something called the rule of 72. All right, you take 72, you divide it over your interest rate, and that's how many years it takes you to double your money if you keep doing it, if it compounds. Okay, so look at that. If you had $100,000 with a hard money lender, let's say it's 15, let's say you keep it in there 15 years. Now you've got 400,000, it goes 200,000 in 7 years. And then in another 7 years, you're at 400,000. What happens if you keep it in another 7 years? Guess what happens? 800,000. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build wealth. And then here's an interesting thing. Let's say you get a smoking deal. You buy a bunch of real estate, right? Let's say you buy 100 houses. You get all of those at 50% equity. Okay? You have that 50% equity. That means what it's worth and what you owe is right there at about 50%. They're $300,000 houses, you owe 150 on them. Then you sell half of them and you pay off the other half. Now you have 50 houses free and clear. Now you have the cash flow from these 50 houses, free and clear. This was taught to me by Michael Jake. I mean, he's been retired for a long time. He's out of Colorado Springs, has an unbelievable portfolio, an unbelievable lifestyle. But you got you got 50 houses free and clear that average $2,000 a month in rent. You put 30% of that off to the side for maintenance and updating. So now you're at $1,400 a month times 50. You do the math. That's a nice retirement. That's what the kids call FU money. Know what I'm saying? Right? The you can't tell me what to do money. The freedom. Right? That's my Mel Gibson. I don't know if he says that, but I feel like he does. All right? There you go. Oh, there you go. Starwood. Buyers can make an account and a cat. Is that still available, Alejandra? It hasn't been hacked? No. Well, there you go. Sorry for being sassy earlier. There you go. Does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense how awesome this business is? How incredible this business is? How much potential there is in this business? Is everybody excited for 2025? Does everybody feel like it's just wide open? That we're always going to have the opportunity to find incredible deals? I really hope so. Really hope so. Is Jerry on or no? It's not on yet. Let me see if he texted me. Maybe he's got, send me link to join in your email. Huh? Sending now, Jerry. Again. There he is. Guys, without further ado, we call him Shredder, not because he harasses Ninja Turtles, but because he's absolutely shredded, 8% body fat. Boom.
What's happening?
Rafael, everybody. Rafael Cortez. We're trying to get Jerry Norton on. We're going over the 20 states that require that have regulations. And it's been a fantastic show.
Some type of noise regarding wholesaling. It's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
And are you in any of these?
Yeah, I am doing business. So some of the newest ones that are kind of popping up. Most of the business is done in India, like Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis is one of our markets.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is getting, a little bit more friendly with the disclosure.
Not required though.
Yeah, exactly. But
Indiana requires wholesalers to provide clear disclosures in any solicitations. The law categorizes failure to disclose as deceptive, allowing enforcement by the Attorney General. Wholesalers must register with the State Department of Revenue as a retail merchant. You better pay sales tax.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a few things, man. Staying on the legal side of compliance is a big thing. But yeah, that's one of them. There's noise just kind of popping up, and as far as disclosures, at least for the time being, right? And in California, for example, it's another one that we hit.
Notice no regulations.
Yeah,
but we'll see, because we've got the guy with the thumb on the pulse of regulations around the country. Nobody is watching these guys more than the incredible, the flip master, Jerry Norton. Jerry,
how we doing?
So good, buddy. So
How's
good.
it going?
I have this map. It moves around in the different states. We colored them all in blue. The states that have some regulations, we put that together. This war on wholesaling report by Easy REI Closings, David Olds and Heather Anderson, was absolutely incredible. Good. And so this is what we've got so far here, Jerry. So I'll show you this. This kind of makes it easy for everybody. States that require real estate license: Illinois, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Virginia, Michigan, North Dakota, Arkansas, Connecticut, Mississippi. States that require disclosure of wholesaling: Arizona, Iowa, Indiana, Alabama, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. States that require you to register as a wholesaler: Oregon and Indiana. And states you cannot wholesale: your favorite, my favorite, Jerry, South Carolina. Anybody else that we missed? Pull
your main list up there. Let me just double check here. You said Wisconsin, right?
Yep. Wisconsin
Okay.
is
Disclosures.
requires disclosure of wholesaling options. Yep.
Okay, you said North Dakota. That one no one talks about because nobody lives in North Dakota, so we don't
I
worry
made
about
that same joke, Jerry. I made the same joke.
it. Did you?
I did.
Like every time you talk to a lender, they're like, "Yeah, we don't do North Dakota." I'm like, "Why?" Well, because we don't get any applications ever. I'm like,
Right.
well, there's people there, isn't there?
No.
And- no, there must not be. Okay,
It's
you got, or I saw Oregon, right? Got Kentucky, got North Arizona, Nebraska, Oklahoma. Yeah. Now, do you have a couple of cities? Because you got Atlanta and Philadelphia. You got those?
I got you, bud.
Okay.
I absolutely got you. Those two. There is you must register and provide specific disclosures to sellers about their role and intent. And then Atlanta is an interesting run. I don't really understand. Basically, if they tell you they don't want an offer, you can't harass them, which seems like common sense, but we know about common sense. It's not.
Yeah, that's not usually part of the equation with these rules.
Well, I mean, I think what's happening even in those states, right, that are just kind of creating noise around the disclosures and the requirements for that kind of stuff, it's just opening up a door. It's happening. I mean, we see it. Jerry talked about this a couple of years ago.
Yep.
So now I think we see it more as a predominant way of doing business, and I mean, it's bound to happen when enough business.
Do you have Georgia, not Atlanta, but Georgia?
I just have Atlanta. What's going on in Georgia?
Oh, so Georgia, they have SB 90 went in effect on the 1st of 2024, and it's a direct mail disclosure.
Got it. Yeah, that's the one where you can't. Tell us about it.
Okay, so the Atlanta one was a little bit differently. That was just the city of Atlanta. Georgia passed. They must hate direct mail, or I don't know what their deal is, but so it says Georgia law imposed strict requirements on unsolicited agreements that inquire into consumers' interest in selling their land or real property. Such agreements are required to make it clear to the consumer that the inquiry is a solicitation. So what you have to do is on your envelope, you got all this, right?
It's not in this report, but there's another state that does it.
Indiana's got another one with
it's probably Indiana.
Yeah. So Georgia says on your direct mail piece. So imagine your copy, right? It has to say on there the following. This is a solicitation. The sender is contacting you to inquire as to your interest in selling your home or other real estate. You are under no obligation to respond, which is just ridiculous because how would they not know that this is direct mail and that's what this is, a solicitation? Like, and then on the envelope, it has to say solicitation. You are under no obligation to open or to respond.
Yeah, Indiana requires wholesalers to provide clear disclosures in all solicitations.
So Indiana is even digital advertising.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's just direct mail with Georgia, not digital marketing.
Yeah. Well, solicitations. I think solicitations. I would be curious to know what the difference between solicitations and marketing is.
I mean, I think it's just a word to say.
Well, is it inbound versus is it you? Is it mail? Is it door knocking? Is it like if somebody goes into Google, is that a solicitation?
Well,
is a solicitation?
Yeah. I mean, the one that cracks me up about Indiana is you have to self-identify as an unlicensed real estate solicitor and not a professional. If you have a real estate license, you are a real estate professional.
Right.
But we're talking about marketing. So what about marketing does your real estate license have anything to do with? But it's a licensing thing. So it's really funny.
Yeah.
So again, I guess in Indiana, if you're a real estate agent, you can market and send direct mail. You can do whatever you want. But if you're an unlicensed marketer, a wholesaler, you have to disclose that you're not a professional. It's just.
Do you know how it works if you're licensed in another state?
It's in the state you transact.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter where your license is. It's where you're transacting. That's all of them.
Well, and I think the big thing here, let me get your guys' opinion on this. And I think that the explosion of people that don't go direct to property owner, but just do dispo, just grabbing people's deals without permission and sending it out publicly to Craigslist, to Investor Lift, to Facebook Marketplace, to all these things, really caused a lot of distress in the market.
You're talking like daisy chaining and all that?
100%.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because it didn't seem like it was that big of a thing until people started coaching and teaching and really pushing that out. And then all of a sudden the seller has 15 people going through the house. They have no idea is there. They're showing up at any time. There's got people telling them that, oh, I can give you more, or all these other things. You know what I mean? Like backdooring and daisy chaining and not getting permission to send out deals.
Well, here's my take on it, Brent. You know, we had the boom, right? 21, 22. You had said this the other day on Hotline, which I thought was fascinating. There's an 80% decrease in interested. How do you define it?
In wholesalers in general, in people that would classify themselves as wholesalers.
Okay, so we had this boom, right, for a couple years. And the market got flooded with these fly-by-night wholesalers, uneducated. A lot of it was naive. A lot of it maybe, I mean, I'm sure there was some malice to some of it, but I think the complaints skyrocketed for a couple of years. And that's why we saw a whole bunch of regulation in the past couple of years. It sort of was like a trickle thing before that. Like here and there, we had like Oklahoma, we had Nebraska, but it was kind of like a little bit. And even then it was mostly just a license requirement if you market a contract. It wasn't even this heavy stuff we have now. I think this heavy stuff like disclosures and you can void contracts and getting rid of it altogether like South Carolina, I think that's a direct impact to a massive increase in complaints to these consumer protection agencies and to the real estate commission during the boom. My hope is that it dies down a little bit now that we're back to like normal real estate.
Yep.
I think it will. I mean, from a couple of years ago to now, we have to take a lot more control of the dispo process, meaning, for example, we won't even send out the address, right? And I mean, at least back in the day, I mean, we would just send it out and then people would take a look at the property and it wasn't really abused. And then it started becoming a popular thing where people just started showing up at people's doors. Hey, listen, I'm going to undercut this guy and I'll give you $5,000 more. And so, I mean, you had conflicting issues like that, but then people pushing properties without having had, the JV agreement in place or doing it the right way. I mean, I think it absolutely just blows things out. I mean,
I think you're right. I don't know about you guys, but during that boom, every single one of my deals got daisy chained by, I don't know who. I would just see my deals on some Facebook group and I'm like, what are you doing? And I feel like it's died down, recently. That's not as bad as it was.
Well, who was teaching that? Who was coaching that? Who was putting that out? Was it on YouTube? Was it on something? Like it's not Jamil. Jamil's whole approach with astro flipping was totally different, and he has everybody on his team's licensed, and they all get permission to send out any deals.
I think people just figured out the market's so hot that if I grab somebody's deal and put it over here, someone's going to want it, and I can mark it up and then go back to that guy. I think just people started getting away with it because it worked, and then it just got out of hand.
Well, and that's why I think if you want to stay long-term, this is my opinion, it might be controversial. If you want to stay long-term in this business, you have to go direct to seller.
Yeah.
And I would add to that, if you want to scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a place for the agent model. I mean, I got a student, Hugh Boy. He does stuff with Jamil as well. He does $1 million a year just with agent. But here's the funny part that nobody really understands. All of that is off market. It's the agent relationship. Then they bring him off market. So he's still off market, even though his relationship is with agents. Very little is it listed properties, right? So direct to seller is really the only way that you can scale a wholesale business because you need enough opportunity and there's only limited supply on market.
Well, and that's what I mean. I mean, not just being an exclusive disposition company.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even then you're limited on dispo.
Let me ask you guys this. I have this question. What do you think happened to, for example, the conversations with the sellers? And since I feel like it got abused, 21, 22, 23, all these overdoingness of deals and pushing deals. I feel like at least I can tell you, right? Like one of the things that I had to push with my student base was like get a lot more honest about the conversation with the seller. Did you guys see that as a switch too on your guys' end?
Oh, I mean, for me,
yeah,
I've kind of always operated this way where I know I'm going to be going head to head with competition, but I destroy my competition in the terms of my contract, in the terms of my offer. And I don't mean creative financing terms. I mean, in the terms of the offer. And I don't jeopardize price, but I do give way better terms in the form of waiving inspections, in the form of big earnest money, in the form of all kinds of things, right? Like how I'm helping the seller, post-occupancy things. And then that puts me way ahead of all the competition because these especially virtual wholesalers, because a virtual wholesaler, and no knock against virtual wholesaling, I do it quite a bit too, but you have to have a very loose contract because you don't have a lot of visibility. So you need room to back out of that contract. You got to have long inspection periods. You got to have low earnest monies. And so by nature of it being virtual, you struggle to compete. And then I also believe in an appointment model. So in the markets I'm in, not me, but I have someone on the team that goes on appointment. Now we got eyes on the property. We can waive our inspections because we're looking at it. We know exactly what we're getting into. We know the neighborhood. We know the neighbors. We can look up and down the street. And then we come in, I call it hot and heavy. We come in hot and heavy with aggressive terms. And then on top of it, I educate the seller on why those other contracts are crap and why mine's way better. Because they may not understand what a $10 earnest money is, and mine's a $10,000 earnest money, right? So guys, you got to understand that there's going to be somebody that's probably going to be having a conversation with that seller that's going to beat your crappy terms if you're running a crappy term contract or offer.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's give some instruction here so that people can really, start implementing this. There's certain terms in the purchase agreement. Let's get rid of price. Let's just throw that out. Let's look at the different terms that people should start really studying and really understanding that they can use on an appointments that can make the seller feel more comfortable. Now,
there's
listen,
four big ones other than price, five with price, but four big ones.
Remember this. You have to do the discovery first, or it doesn't matter what you're telling them about these things. They won't care. If price is their only thing, if price is, I will not this, and we run into whoever gives me the highest price I'm going with. Yeah. Then we transition to totally understand. I want you to get as much as you possibly can from it. Can we be your backup? Can we be your backup if for some reason the transaction gets a little bit wiggly and it doesn't work out? Can we be your backup? Guys, I think we've got 3 deals right now where we were the backup and the other one's canceled because it was too high. Yeah. And now we really get them at great prices. Oh, yeah. They're just fed up. So what are those for?
That happens all the time too with door knocking foreclosures, which I do a lot of. So
yeah. Okay. So your four big ones are earnest money.
Okay.
Inspection period.
Yep.
Closing date.
Mm-hmm.
And how you're paying for it, which most of us are totally comfortable with cash, right?
What about post-possession?
Then there's some extra ones like vacant at closing. Is it going to be broom swept clean? Or are you going to leave everything? Do I give you post? So there's a whole list of like beneficial things. And those are just things that you can do to really, elevate yourself above others, is being flexible with that seller. But the terms everybody has to compete with are earnest money, inspection, closing date, and cash. And proof that you're cash is like, when I say cash, like everybody says cash, but can you actually show the seller that you're legit and you can perform and you have the means to close? Like, this is how you can really put yourself above others with your terms. And Brent, when I use those 4 things to my advantage, I often walk out with the deal $20,000, sometimes $30,000 lower in price than contracts they have laying out on the table, because I educate the seller on how price is important. I get it. I know you want the best price, but getting to the finish line, if you don't get to the finish line, you get 0 of that price.
Yep.
And here's how we get to the finish line. Here's how I can make you feel confident that I'll get to the finish line with these terms. Now, again, Brent, it doesn't mean that I give away the farm. It doesn't mean that I promise to close in 5 days and I give them a mass, but I'm just saying, those are the things that you get to juggle with and you get to play with. And your job should be to find out how important those things are to the seller.
Yeah. I would go post-possession. I would go leave items. I would say financial help, whether it's paying a bill, whether it is like we've paid for people to get their truck unimpounded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've paid for people to get a U-Haul to go to another state or another part of, the city. And then the other one we have is reputation. And I think that kind of dovetails into what you were saying, Jerry, with the financing, that you actually have the money and then doing those things. But reputation from a standpoint of, did you see, we run TV commercials, right? We do those type of things. We show the deals that we've done. We talk about, being in the business for a long time. We show them our Better Business Bureau, our Google reviews. All of these things actually matter, especially if you're getting inbound leads from marketing, because they're really looking at the mentality of these type of property owners is like, okay, I gotta see who's the most trusted here, who's got the Yelp reviews, who's got the Better Business. And so all of those things matter as well.
There's so much noise out there too. Another thing that we do and works really well is we help them move. A lot of people don't want to deal with the move itself. So we'll book the moving truck. We'll go the extra mile on that kind of stuff. All it is on my end, it's just some coordination from my assistant, and then oh wow, it's a game changer. Yeah. But you have to go through that discovery to find out what the real pain points are.
Jerry, from a legal perspective, is earnest money deposit required in order to have a legal binding contract from Galen?
Great question. So this is very controversial because there's been some case study that says no, just your signature and that's enough for consideration. And then there's other case law that says yes, there has to be some type of consideration, and that's why most people do a $10 earnest money, or $100 earnest money, just to check that box that they did something. But really $10 is the same as no earnest money, right? I mean, or even $100 is the same as no, because anybody will walk from that. But again, I wouldn't look at it like, is it legal or not legal? I would look at it like, how are you going to compete against me or Brent or Raphael or any other legit wholesaler? Because you better believe that they're using the terms of their offer to have a competitive advantage. So if you're going to go through the effort to get in front of a seller and you're going to spend money on marketing, you're going to do all the work, and then you're going to give a crappy offer with a crappy contract and crappy terms, to me, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Awesome. Real quick. Will you guys just look into this crystal ball? Okay. Look into this, Jerry. Look into this, Raphael. When it comes to the future, are we going to be able to get good deals in the future?
Yes. I can see it here.
Can you see it, Jerry?
I can see him.
You can see it right there.
I'm looking at him.
Will the government limit how much we can make on good deals?
I don't think we're going to get to that point. I think.
Jerry?
I mean, I'll structure things differently so that I can do it. So no.
Oh, amazing. I'll tell you what, clairvoyance is amazing.
Yeah. Wow.
Seeing all this.
How much do I owe you?
Yeah, that's it. And then here's the other thing. I want to see if you guys have any other ways to make money in real estate besides these 18. And somebody asked, what is a subtail? That's when you sub to it and then you put it on the market and you just sell it retail. You just get a retail buyer to pay off that loan and buy it themselves. But anything else that you guys see there? Group home is more like the pad split type of thing. But that's all I could come up with. And, when you're looking at the different strategies and you're actually speaking to a real lead and they actually do want to sell their property and you do the discovery process and you see what's important to them, price, speed, convenience, and they only get to pick two, and you get to really, design the right strategy for them. Is there anything that I'm missing here?
Reverse flipping. Maybe. I mean, I don't know if you've looked into that. I haven't.
You mean illegally doing short sales and ripping the government off and going to jail?
They're buying.
Is that what you're talking about?
As far as I haven't done those, as far as I understand it, they buy the lead or they take down the deed and go from it. But I mean, there's so many. At the end of the day, like you have to put yourself in the driver's seat when it comes to the lead gen. Yeah. And then you can pick from any of the 18, right?
Anything?
Yeah, and the way I look at it is, I think everybody that gets into real estate should be an acquisition company first.
Yeah.
Because then you will never starve. You will have total control over deal flow. And if you're in the beginning of building an acquisition company, then do the simple things first, like whole assignments, double closings, maybe take down, maybe fix and move your way through. But if you think about it, anybody other than an acquisition company is relying on someone else to source their deal flow. And to me, that's a dangerous place. That's like having a job and expecting that it's always going to be there for you when all it takes is someone to fire you and you're out of a job. Like there's no security no matter how long you've been at a job. To me, not having control over acquisition is like the same thing. Yep. I don't ever want to rely on agents or wholesalers to bring me deal flow to whatever strategy I'm doing. I want to be direct to the deal, and then I want to keep the stuff I like. I want to wholesale the stuff I don't like and be in total control.
Love it. What you were explaining reverse flipping.
No, I mean, I don't understand it well. It's just, I know that it's out there now and, people are talking about it and pushing it out. So I was picking your brain on it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, as far as I understand it, you take the deed. It's just another vertical. There's shiny objects that pop up all the time
I would caution anybody for any kind of short sale deals. You have to, if you're going to do it, there has to be a ridiculous amount of disclosures. And if the bank's fine with it, great. But I don't know any loss mitigation departments that allow you to not put a property on the open market, get multiple offers, present the best offer, negotiate that, and sell it to an independent buyer.
You know what, Brent? I didn't see on your list. Do you have novations?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, good.
Novations number 8. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yep.
That's a pretty extensive list there, Brent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I went through it all. I've been looking at, what are all the different exit strategies, and that's really what it boils down to. And it just depends on what you want to get great at. I think if you're starting out, get really great at cash as is offers first. I went to Florida. I went to Tampa, Florida in 2012, and I sat through a Pete Fortunato seminar. He's brilliant. He's genius. He's one of those like millionaire next doors that just wears the same suit since 1987 and ties from 1993 and doing it. And he's a bazillionaire. I literally fell asleep when he was talking about the creative finance stuff that he was doing.
I was so boring. Totally different.
All of these things. And it was amazing. And it was great. And he said, the reason I bring that up is he said that, only stupid investors use cash. I also know that the dumbest people make the most money in this. You know what I mean? And so I think it's a great foundation. I think that you can add different unique strategies as you go.
I'll tell you, Brent, we wholesale a lot of creative, and I've got a long history of doing a lot of creative deals. I feel like I understand it really well. Yep. I can structure those deals really well. Well, when the interest rates were down really low and then they started going up, there was this massive window of like getting these deals. They were hot. Everybody wants them still today. Everybody wants those sub 4 interest rates. And so I've done a lot of content teaching how to structure a creative deal. Seller finance or sub 2 is 80% of it. And then how to then wholesale that deal, like assign it. And I'll tell you what, I've pulled back a little bit on that because all I've done is confused a lot of people because it's a lot of people just aren't ready. A cash deal is so easy to get your head around it. What's the value? Discount that, some percentage, and make an offer, and then find someone that wants it for a little bit more. Like everyone can get their head around that no matter how new or green you are. And so I think there's some truth to that. Like it's sort of an animal to learn because it's not just one thing. You got to look at like 10 different things to make a deal make sense on creative. So I think a lot of people just chase that shiny object syndrome and get themselves in trouble before they're ready for it.
My experience with sub 2 deals in our business that we run across is all in the outskirts. I've never done a deal in Scottsdale. I've never done one in Paradise Valley. I've never done one in Central Phoenix. Yeah.
No, I mean, we do a lot of those with pre-foreclosure.
Right.
You know, properties. Again, that's a whole our contract is like 40 pages long. I mean, talk about disclosures and making sure that everything's in alignment and whatnot. I mean, it's they get confusing.
Bring her over here.
Raphael, do you wholesale those sub 2 deals?
Yeah, some of them we'll cherry pick. We'll keep some and then sell some. What's up? There's Mac.
But that's a little more advanced, I'd say. What in the world? Looks like a gremlin.
It is a gremlin. It's my new gremlin.
I didn't see him. Yeah.
This is Lula May right here.
Don't get that thing wet, Brent.
I don't. No, it'll turn crazy.
That's a gremlin reference.
Isn't that awesome?
That's the cutest dog ever. All right, so it's show off your dog day or what?
Yeah, bring your dog out.
Oh, this is totally unfair.
I know.
I should have brought Thanos.
There we go. Nice. What's your dog's name?
This is the laziest dog you'll ever meet. He sits in here in the air conditioning all day. Does nothing at all.
Smart dog.
I do the same thing.
Smart dog.
If I was one of you have what, 27 children?
More or less.
More or less.
Well, awesome, Jerry. You know, I think with all this regulations, it opens up opportunity. I think the people that take it seriously and are real business people in these markets are going to win. And I also think, and this is just a call out, and many of them don't watch this channel, and it's a shame because they'd make a fortune if they did. But real estate agents, if you don't have this in your toolbox, if you do not know how much potential there is for going out and finding unbelievable wholesale deals in these markets that require you to have a license. Again, here you go. In Illinois, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Virginia, Michigan, North Dakota, Arkansas, Connecticut, and Mississippi. If you are a real estate agent or have a loved one that is a real estate agent, you have a friend that's a real estate agent, and you are not showing them the way and telling them, you know, that they need to take this seriously, they are going to stay on that hamster wheel of being a realtor forever. They can be a realtor, but this can also add to their bottom line dramatically if they learn how to find unbelievable deals. So
agreed.
Talk to all your real estate agent friends and get them on Jerry's channel, Raphael's channel, my channel, whatever it is, and get them educated. Cool. Good, Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry, awesome. Always a pleasure, man.
Thanks for being on here, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Love you guys. Appreciate you. See you, buddy.
He's making the move back. Have you seen his new house?
No, I haven't.
I'll show you after the show.
Yeah, compound.
It's
got to be a compound.
Nobody has more compounds than Jerry. It's got
amazing dude,
all over the place. He's got two in Puerto Rico. He's got I guess we got some donuts or something. Come on in. It's fine. He's got this unbelievable one in Tennessee. He's got two in Montana.
Yeah.
Goals. Yeah. Absolute goals. Jerry's the best. Awesome. Any final thoughts about the regulations before we get out of here?
No, not off the top of my head. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down, a lot of it is going to come down to disclosure and licensing, right? If you're doing good business and become you're a good human, trying to solve problems.
Yep.
I mean, that's what we lead with. Everything else is adaptable, right? For example, we could see the pivot that Jerry did the last couple of years. You did it. I did it in terms of how you approach the marketing side, how you approach the conversations, transparency and clarity. If you're trying to be sneaky, it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah.
So cut that out, guys.
So don't do that. Well, bring it in, guys. Hope you guys got, Matt, put me on the lapel, please. Hope you guys got a lot of value.